Welcome to the December edition of Table Talk. I have a fantastic panel. As you know, following the elections, there are some changes on the horizon, and we are going to zero in today on collaboration, communication, and teamwork, and how we can work together to strengthen the communities here in southeastern Idaho. A great big thank you to Classic Interiors for powering these Table Talk conversations each and every month. And thank you to Gandolfo's for providing our delicious lunch. Table Talk is built on the idea that when you come to the table, break bread with people, and engage in productive conversation, some magic really does happen. All right, without any further ado, let's go ahead and meet our incredible thought leader panel today. We'll start right here with Mayor-elect.
Yeah, thank you. Thanks, Jolyn, for inviting us here today. It's a pleasure to be here and meet you. First time in the studio for me, so this is a new experience. But my name is Brian Powell. I ran for mayor in Ammon, so I'm mayor-elect in Ammon. Looking excited to officially being official on January 8th. And very grateful for Mayor Coletti and everything he's done. He's been kind of filling me in on some details, and our city administrator, Mike Austin, he's been fantastic to work with as well. Just a little bit about me. I've lived in Ammon for a little over 16 years. I originally grew up in this area, met my wife. We moved over to Boise State and graduated from there. So I am a huge Boise State fan, love the colors blue and orange, and congratulations to our football team for being conference champions again and again and again. So that was wonderful. Moved back here and made our home in Ammon. We have 4 children, all are married, living close by, and looking forward to get starting in the new position at the City of Ammon. My day job, I'm the Information Systems Manager for Bonneville County, just kind of a fancy term that I work with a lot of software and a lot of data. And it's been a challenge working with the county and seeing the growth and the amount of numbers that have come through there, and it's been fun and a challenge to put that together and get information out so people can make good decisions. And kind of looking forward to doing the same thing at the City of Ammon, building some analytic models, predictive models, growth models that will really help us understand trends and make better decisions with taxpayer dollars.
All right, thank you. And Leif.
I'm Leif Watson. I'm councilman-elect for the city of Shelley, and I was on the council previously, and looking forward to being back on there again. I also am from here in southeast Idaho, been around since the early 80s, and have been in Shelley for the whole time I've been married to my wife. And we have 3 kids. They're all adults and doing various things around and about. If you need some help with books, go see my son Jacob at Barnes & Noble. He'll help you out, especially all you moms that have kids. He runs the kids section, and he knows everything there is to know about books. So good shout out to Jacob because he loves books, and our family has forever. So my wife's a teacher, works in Blackfoot, and I have worked for the last 30 plus years in the copier industry in various roles, doing different things. Right now I'm a service technician, so I do that and go around and see people and make them happy when their copier breaks. And I look forward to working with our council and our newly elected mayor. We're very, very saddened by losing our previous mayor, Mayor Pasco. That's been hard a little bit. Last night we had the transition. Kim was sworn in last night, and so we have new Mayor Westergaard in, and look forward to working with our council. There's one brand new member. She's never been on anything before. Louis Street, and so look forward to helping her and her helping us and bringing all of her expertise into us. She was in the accounting world for a long time, so we're hoping to have her help us with monies and those kind of things. And then Mr. Kress and Mr. West are good men, and they've done a good job so far, and glad that we're all able to work together and have lots of things that we're looking forward to. Growth is one of the big things that we're looking forward to, and we have a big water project that is happening, is already started, and so we look forward to making the people there in Shelley and the surrounding area be a little happier with our water and our wastewater and done, which Mr. Powell's been on our wastewater board, so that's kind of cool that we collaborate even there a little bit. So that's me.
All right. Well, thanks for being here. And Colin?
Hi there, I'm Colin Erickson from Rexburg. Mayor could not be here today, and I'm thrilled to be here. It's always great to try to come together and try to communicate back with the citizens. That's one thing that we always need to do, is try to communicate and have that communication back and forth. It's good to be back on, be reelected back for another 4 years to the city council and try to serve the community. Just a little bit about me. Like I said, I've been in Rexburg for a lot of years. I served in the police department for 30 years. I retired from there and then been on the council for 4 years. And I think that we need to stay involved and be part of the community and try to be helpful of the solutions that's out there, especially with growth that's happening throughout our area, throughout Idaho, and what we can do to keep our communities still the communities we love, but also look at the growth that's going to be happening and try to adapt to that and have it come in the right way.
All right.
So thank you for having us.
You bet. And Brandon?
Thank you. Thank you for having me. It's good to be here with these fine gentlemen. My name is Brandon Lee, newly elected to the City Council of Idaho Falls. Just a quick little bit about myself. Born and raised here in Southeast Idaho. Went to Idaho Falls High School. Moved away for a bit for college and first career opportunities, but then jumped at the chance to come back to Idaho Falls when we had that opportunity. Have 4 kids, 3 of which who have graduated and are pursuing college degrees, and then our youngest is still at Idaho Falls High School. Been married to my wife Nettie for 26 years, and we just love Idaho Falls and our overall community.
All right. Well, thank you so much. We have heard a lot throughout the campaign season about fears regarding growth changing the dynamics of the communities that we love. And there's no question that collaboration is going to be important as we move forward strategically. So I would love to know what ideas you have for improving that collaboration between the communities here in Southeast Idaho. Let's just start with you, Brandon, since we started over here.
Sure. I think it's obviously it's a great problem to have, in my opinion, but one that does require a substantial amount of effort and recognition from the leadership of our surrounding communities. It's been fun through the campaign trails to actually have those discussions with Brian, and I feel like we already have a head start in that we want to sit down and figure out exactly what those predictive growth models look like and make those shared tools between the county, between the city of Idaho Falls, between the city of Ammon and other partners as it makes sense. Because as none of our communities sit on the phrases, none of us are on an island, right? Every decision that we make has impacts to everyone else at the table and vice versa. And so I think that collaboration is key, and being able to sit down and share information and data sets, as Brian and I have talked about, and being able to build tools so that, we all have access to that same set of information, so that when one decision is made, we understand decisions that Ammon has made and how that might impact the city of Idaho Falls, for example, and they know what we're doing at the same time. And so I think even just that collaboration of when things are being done, I think is super helpful to the residents in our surrounding area.
All right. And Colin, same question. What are your thoughts on strengthening collaboration between our communities?
I think we need to look at the community and collaboration back and forth with each other, because it does affect each one of us. I mean, things that happen in Idaho Falls definitely affects Rexburg. The growth in Rexburg definitely affects a lot of other things. You can see that right now with the traffic that comes out of Rexburg to head south towards Idaho Falls every morning. I mean, it's just like a solid line of traffic heading south. A lot of them's come down here to work. And then we have same thing going north. So we definitely need to work together. We do have meetings together already with the Idaho Cities Association, working with them, coming together, trying to communicate, trying to talk to what's going to be happening. We also need to collaborate with communities, but we need to also collaborate with our counties and the citizens that's out there. So communication is going to be huge. We still need to continue to work on that. I think that's the area that we fall short on, is trying to get that information back out to our citizens and back out to each other. Those decisions, I like what Brian said earlier as we talked. We need to look at more of stats and things that's worked out there, and not just make decisions from the hip, but what's being said out there, what's the data saying, and then maybe communicate that, saying let's look at growth as in a proper way, and not just throw different subdivisions, different things out there, because it affects all of us.
It does. And Leif.
So I like what you guys have already said, especially Brandon being new and being a part of that, having been on the council before and having served as a volunteer in plannings and zonings in the county and also in the city. Communication is the key, and this data that the mayor's been talking about, that's something that we haven't had in the past. We've always had to try to hire that out or figure out where we're going to get it from, and I think that we need to collaborate a lot more together to get that. One of the things that really worked well for us, as Brian served on the URSA board, when we were having it just before I got off the council last time, we were having an issue with how many ERUs, where were we going to get that? And we devised a living document. So we knew every month when Ammon had houses built and connected to the system, and when Shelley had houses built and connected to the system, we knew how many ERUs were there. And that really helped us with going forward on how many houses can you allow? What could we do? What are our roads gonna look like? And I think there's a lot more that can be done. Being in counties planning and zoning the last little while, I think there's a lot of resources inside the counties and also inside our cities that we can help each other know where things are going and what they're going to look like as we grow or as we shrink, or as commerce wants to come and be a part of it. Where's the best place to put them, right? Is Ammon the best place, or is Shelley the best place? Or maybe they are better off if they went to Rexburg and kept that work base of all those college kids, or maybe it would be better if it was in Idle Falls, where we have a seasoned work base that might be better for that business long term, and to grow that way. So I think we do. We've got to come up with some kind of, living document that would help all of us together. And also that communication, whether it's monthly, quarterly, bi-weekly, whatever we think that we could work out together as groups. I mean, we're all pretty busy with work and these, elected positions, but I think there's a way that we could definitely come together and make more of an impact for our constituents.
And Brian?
Oh yeah, all great points that they've shared so far, and I kind of look at it. I had a conversation with our engineering group at the City of Ammon just a few weeks ago, and we were looking at some possible developments and some improvements that were going to be happening on some of our corridors. And I said, have you shared this information with your counterpart over in Idle Falls? And just get like a second opinion, just ask them what they think. And the answer was no. And so I'm like, I think that's something we need to start doing. Anytime these big developments are coming in and we're going to be sharing this infrastructure, sharing the roads, those kinds of things, are we getting in touch with our counterparts at our neighboring cities, whether that's Iona, Idaho Falls, Bonneville County? How's that going to impact them? And especially as we start doing improvements, it doesn't matter if it's water improvements or road improvements. If we're closing a road, are we coordinating that with Idaho Falls, saying, hey, we're going to be closing this section. What's your plan on this section so we're not closing a mile worth of road and detouring traffic to another road that is closed as well? That happened to me a couple of times on my commute to work, and I tell you, that is frustrating. So I think if we can coordinate better our public works projects and route traffic better and have better signs and detours, I think that's going to really greatly impact what we're doing. The other part that I look at, I don't know if you've ever done those little connect the dot.
I love those.
Those connect the dots. My grandson, he loves that too. When you look at, and you're trying to create a picture with all those dots, let's say that Ammon has maybe 4 dots on that page. You're not going to get a very good picture with just 4 dots. And let's say each of those 4 dots represents a data set, meaning building permits, COs, annexations, whatever that is. I call them key indicators of growth that Ammon is collecting in our software systems. but we only have like 4. You're not going to get a very good picture. But maybe Idaho Falls has 4 more that we could put on that same drawing. Maybe Shelley has a couple that we can put in there. D93 has a couple. Bonneville County has 5 more. And the more dots you can have that you can connect, the better the picture you're going to get. And I attribute that to the growth pattern. So if we can share these data sets and draw that picture, we will get a very good understanding of where growth is going, how it's trending, how much value it's actually bringing, what impact it's going to have on the infrastructure. And by using that, you can backfill your capital improvement plans. So when you're budgeting, you can look forward and say, well, in 5 years, we're going to need to widen that street. Let's make Idaho Falls aware of that. Let's tell them this is how much we're putting aside. Let's tell the county this is on our plan and on our radar. And that's how you can kind of coordinate together and share that data and get a better picture of what's going on in your community.
I love that analogy of the little dot to dot. And it certainly does make the case that everybody is important to the overall success of Southeast Idaho. Mm-hmm. One of the things that a lot of people have been concerned about, we've heard it a lot through the election, is, and you kind of hit on, just the frustration with infrastructure, public work projects, and what that does to a commute time. Traffic is of concern. What do you think we can do to ease some of the stress that people are feeling as growth leads to more traffic? And just jump in for this one, anybody.
I think part of it is planning. Like Brian has said, you look at this and bring those dots together, but you're planning not just for this council or not just for this mayor. You're planning for 10 years, 15 years. I mean, I look back on ours in Rexburg. When they made Rick's BYU Idaho, in my opinion, they should have looked at some of those dots and put them together on, are we going to be a divided city when we start growing? And like that right now, we are. We have US 20 that's dividing us big time. We have 2 crossings across there. It doesn't work. We have a river that's dividing us. We have 1 bridge across there. How are we going to connect those dots? Because when you start bringing more traffic, more people, without communicating that, looking at the future, and just doing it right now, you have what we have. We're a divided city, and you don't come up with $10 to $20 million in a 2 or 3 times in a heartbeat to put a bridge in and put a crossing in overnight. That takes time, and like our city doesn't have that to be able to just fork out and say, let's do this when we need it. We got to look at a lot of other things. So part of that's just like say, plan for the future, not just while you're on a council or while you're a mayor, but for the future of the community in 10 to 20 years from now. And you got to look out beyond that.
I might add just 2 quick things to that. I think one, I would echo and tag on a little bit to Brian's earlier point. I think communication of those projects, if people know what's happening, then when they hit that, whatever it is, again, we'll use a commuting situation, right? Then when they kind of know and they can plan about it. And so I think as we communicate, we have to be able to recognize what platforms and try to figure out the best platforms and use multiple platforms in order to disseminate that information. I think the days of just sending somebody to a city's website is long gone for where that's not where people are going, nor it's not where they want to go to receive their information. And so I think there's so many platforms out there today that we have to be able to create a message that you can disseminate across multiple platforms. So I think one is communicating so people can plan their day and have kind of that mental expectation. And then the second thing, I don't want to minimize where frustration can occur, but I think also some of it is somewhat of a mindset. And you find, I was at a lunch the other day with Eric Madsen, who you probably know from Rexburg, and he talked about this notion of gap thinking versus gain thinking, and this recognition that, man, we have so many great things that we have accomplished as an overall community. There's a reason why people want to come and live in Southeast Idaho. And when you focus on that versus the gap or the little problem that you might be, facing that day, it just seems to go a lot mentally, right? When there's the recognition of we really do live in a great place. So while that's simplistic, it actually, I think, is a pretty helpful mindset.
I love the gap versus gain mentality. there's some real wisdom in that. Anyone else want to share anything?
Well, I was going to say, where communication is lacking, negativity fills the void.
Yeah.
And so
So
I've
true.
been meeting with some of our staff members to devise almost like an information template that we're going to be putting out on multiple platforms that's basically going to cover all those questions of who, what, where, when, why, and how. We're going to answer every one of those when it comes to a project or information that the public knows, and we're going to post that. Because sometimes we'll put information out there, but we don't describe what the long-term problem was, how we're going to correct it, what the costs are going to be, what your alternatives are in the meantime. And I think if we can communicate that better by having a standardization communication template, I think that's going to answer a lot of questions and help people figure out what they're going to do in the meantime or during their day when we close down a road to do a project.
That information really is going to allow people to make those plans and avoid some of that frustration.
Well, and I like the fact that we shouldn't have to reinvent the wheel. So if you're inventing it, can we steal?
Oh, absolutely.
From you? Because
Yeah.
that's something we've talked about, and we've gotten better at it over the last few years. It started when I was on the council previously, and we started having more communication, right? Where are we going to put it? How are we going to get it out there? And we never did standardize it. And so as people come and go, if we have a standardization that we can all use and it looks familiar, if I leave my community and I go somewhere else, like to Rexburg or Idaho Falls or Ammon, at least then it'll all look the same and it'll work together. And I think that would be a great opportunity. So if you're willing to share, Mayor, we're willing to receive.
Oh, yeah. And I never call it stealing. I call it just permanent borrowing.
They're
Permanent
That's a great-
borrowing, I like that.
That works way better.
Yeah,
with
that
cops,
was-
right? That
that
sounds a
definitely
lot
works
better. Yeah.
But you're right. Like, that really is at the heart of what collaboration should be about. Not having to reinvent the wheel, working smarter, not necessarily harder. And when we all come together, my grandma used to always say, many hands make light work, and I think that's really true.
It does. It does. And I like the gaining gap. That's something we talked about, and I really hadn't put a word to it before. So stealing that too from you to help our group get better at that so that we can collaborate better with the county, with the ones that we directly are impacted by Ammon because we share a sewer district. So those kind of things working. And also the things that are working for us, we should share with one another. We started a rec district down in our community, and it's starting to gain some traction and some teeth, and they have some big plans that we want to help with them that takes the place of having a city that's small like ours or like a Rexburg that struggles with a Parks and Rec to grow that part of it. And why would we want to try to do what Idaho Falls does when they're so big and they've been doing it for so long and they have that infrastructure and the people? We should look for ways and share those ways with others. I mean, I think it's been a great asset to us, and we look forward to what it will do for our small community in the future.
Yeah. And I hope you don't mind me saying this, by the way. I have worked or talked to every staff member at each one of these cities, and I just want to say they have some smart people. The city of Ammon has some smart people, and when you start bouncing your questions off of other staff members, you collect that permanent borrowing, and you can implement that in your system. I'm always talking to Chris Fredrickson, by the way, one of the
great.
smartest guys in the area,
Yeah,
and
he's great.
he's
Awesome.
fantastic to work with. And our Micah Austin, Jennifer in finance, they smart people. Sandy, I worked with her quite a bit, and Shelley. I was just talking about Matt Nelson. I mean, these communities have some really smart staff members, and it's been fun talking to them. I mean, you'll get some great ideas just by calling and just asking.
I mean, there's nothing quite like brainstorming to really get a vision, to have some momentum. Communication is something I believe we're going to continue hearing a lot about, because in this fast-paced world that we're living in, and with AI rapidly expanding in ways that I think once upon a time we couldn't have even imagined, that is having an impact on communication. We see it a lot with this younger generation. They're not as comfortable with a face-to-face conversation. And really, as I mentioned when we were eating, that's what Table Talk was built on, is that belief that there's something really valuable about coming together and engaging in productive conversation. So how do we bring back the magic and beauty of good old-fashioned communication while still appreciating all the technology and the ways in which that can allow us to get more done faster? But how do we just really prioritize that face-to-face, that real communication?
Anybody want to take a stab at that?
That's definitely a one that I believe we all want to have. I mean, I've worked, like the last 4 years on city council, that trying to deal with that and how to communicate better with the public. You know, back when I was an officer dealing with community policing, a big thing is the one-on-one, being out there with the people, working with the people and communicating with that. We need to do that same thing in the government, but how do we do that? I'd love to have that crystal ball to be able to say, okay, how do we get their information to us and to be able to digest that, to be able to do what's best for the community. We just doing a survey coming up for our police department that we're trying to get that bond through and trying to find out how to get the information to the public and how to get that back to us. I don't know how the best way to do that. I liked what you just said, put that out each month. We do a newsletter every month from the mayor. We try to put all that stuff out there for the public, but it's tough. I mean, the paper used to be a long time ago. It's not there anymore. Just putting out little things that you put out on the street, it doesn't work. The social media is even tough now. They don't look at a lot of that. So I'd like to hear some of the other people try to say, how do we do that? Because I think we all want that. We want to be there to serve and to be part of the community and help that, but it's tough sometimes to get that information back and forth.
Mm-hmm.
I'd say two things. One, and I think everyone at this table can appreciate this, the level of engagement by our community and our citizens was at a super high level during the election process, during the campaign process. Lots of people came forth with lots of great ideas of ways to make our communities better. And so, for one, I hope that level of engagement still remains at a high level, even though the elections are over and everyone starts to go back and again, truly go to their day-to-day lives. But for things that are important and where people have good ideas, I hope that level of engagement continues at a very high level. One of the things that we talked about during the campaign, and we don't know all the details yet how we're going to do it, but we want to do like a weekly 3 to 5 minute podcast about the city. And it has to be, again, this is one that will go across platforms, but talk about here are the issues city council's dealing with, here are some other things that are happening along the city that might be important, and here's an introduction to somebody who's working at the city and who they are and what they do and how they help your life, right? And so you get to know the city a little bit better from a different angle, as well as be informative. So, and again, we feel like that 3 to 5 minute time frame across multiple platforms we hope will be engaging and interesting.
I love that you brought up engagement, because that really is the heart of collaboration. If we can't get people engaged, then it's really hard to have that true community spirit. We've got to get people engaged. And I think you're right on point with a 3 to 5 minute. People are busy and their attention spans are not what they once were, because there are so many things coming at them.
Well, and I love it when someone comes to say, hey, here's something that could be improved, and here's a couple of ways I've thought about how to improve it. It's really easy to, get behind a keyboard and just say, oh, this is terrible or whatever, and kind of complain and whine, if you will. That's not super helpful, right? But boy, if you say, hey, look, here's an issue, and I've got a couple of ideas. I certainly never claim to have a monopoly on great ideas, and so I love it when someone says, here's a problem, but here's also a potential way you could solve it. At least it gets the gears and the conversation going again in kind of that positive manner. So I love it when those type of conversations take place.
That's all about being part of the solution.
It is.
Rather than just complaining. It goes back to that mindset. And there are a lot of, as I like to call them, keyboard warriors who like to hammer out nasty grams, and they're just really eager to complain or criticize. But flipping the script and saying, yeah, this is an issue. Let's go at it proactively. Have you thought about this or this? I love that.
Yeah, I'm not. I think I mentioned before. I have a Facebook account, an Instagram account that is only just for my kids. I'm not on Twitter, so I'm not a big social media fan, just because I don't think there's anything positive on there for me to view. So in that regards, I'm actually going to have open office hours where the public can come in and discuss with me face to face. I think those are going to be on Thursday afternoons. And then I also think that we can get really bogged down in our day-to-day work, and we're just in the office. So I'm encouraging our staff, we're going to get out more. We're going to be knocking a few doors in some neighborhoods, and we're going to say, hey, what are some things that we're doing well? What aren't we doing well? What can we improve on? And I'm always going to require what I call the 1-3-1 method. A well-defined problem is already half solved. So give me your well-defined problem, give me 3 options, and then give me your recommendation. You know what? 98% of the time, I'm probably going to go with the recommendation. So that's what I'm looking for with the community is let's have that kind of engagement, but I need your ideas as well. How would you solve this problem? So give me your 3 options and give me your recommendation.
I love that, the 1-3-1. And I believe that open office hours might go a long way in getting people in the habit of that face-to-face communication. I really believe we've got to push that because we're at a crossroads. And this younger generation, a lot of them do not really appreciate the good old-fashioned style of communication. And as AI just continues growing, I think it's going to be important to keep the beauty of that alive.
And I'm throw a plug out for the mayor and for Mayor Westergaard that she's doing the same thing. She's going to have open office hours, right? That because she's a part-time mayor, but she's going to be there so people can come and ask those questions and be a part of it. And I think that also our community members need to understand wherever you sit in the community, whether you're somebody who is leading the way and you always want to be involved and be at things and volunteering and doing that, or if you're that kind of person that's behind the keyboard a little bit more, we need to hear from them.
Right.
And face-to-face is way better than the complaint on social media after the fact. Because I've been doing, serving on boards for quite a while now, the thing that always used to frustrate me, especially where we've done 2 comprehensive plans. I did it when I first got on the planning and zoning in Shelley, and then we did it again. I had planning and zoning. I had to redo it over the years. And the first time we got like 3 people that came to our public meetings. We had 3 of them, and the same 4 people came to all 3 meetings to put down their ideas of what they wanted to see, how they wanted their community. This last time we did it, we got probably double or triple that. So we got 20 or 30 people, but it was still the same as we put some paper out on some tables and people were able to write down their wish lists or thoughts or ideas. It also while engaging with us as part of the planning and zoning and also the city people, the council members and the mayor. And it was amazing to see that people would still come in and write their bad comments on the paper. We want you to come and engage with us. And if you're going to come and engage, come with your ideas. That 1-3-1 is it's been around for a long time and it usually works. I haven't seen it not work. Use it at work all the time, use it in life. And it will help our communities get better if our people will come and engage. We have a standard meeting every month. In Shelley, we have 2. We broadcast them. We didn't do that previous. We do it now. We're going to continue to do that so that people can see what's going on if they're not here. And we don't get very many people even to watch it. They're usually the same 6 people that are south where it's warm. And they want to know what's happening to their house in Shelley. But if we would get more people to come and engage with us and help us make these decisions, it's really hard to make a decision as an elected official when you don't know the mind.
Right.
And so if we can get our constituents to come and be a part of it, have those conversations, whether they're, because I think we're getting to that AI where I want to listen to it, but then I don't have any way to rebut or talk back or, hey, I had this idea. Where do we put those? And I think that's our next step is how do we integrate those things that the community comes up with into what they want to see, or how can we best do it for them?
Right.
In the long run.
Definitely.
Colin, did you have any thoughts on that?
Well, I agree with what everybody's saying. I love what the 1-3-1. I think we all want to hear back from the citizens and be able to have that, but come in with a solution. I like what Brandon said of understanding the ideas and help us to make those decisions. I don't have all the answers. I don't think none of us do, but by working together and even with, like I said, I love this, to work with other communities, other citizens, or other cities to come up with that will the best work out the eastern Idaho, all of us in a whole, because we're all in the same area. We all love this area. How can we do this together? So.
And we are, I believe, here in Southeast Idaho, leading out as a positive example of communities where neighbors still take care of neighbors. When people come visit, one of the common things that I hear is people are just so nice and helpful. And we've all been to bigger cities, and we know that what we have here is really special. The secret's out. That's why we have the growth. So it's really about balancing all the technology, but not losing sight, I believe, of the humanity, those things that make us human. And as human beings, we're wired for that connection. So I think finding ways to keep that connection alive. And, you know, Brandon, one thing that Mayor-elect Lisa Burtonshaw said that I just really loved as I interviewed her here in studio is that she believes it's important to go where the people are and to have block parties and to have gatherings and bring some of that back, because I think we can all agree technology has gotten to the point where people really can just stay in their house, order their groceries, watch something on Netflix. I mean, there are less reasons for people to go out and have that interaction with their community.
I agree. I mean, I think that's one thing that makes Ammon unique is Mayor Coletti did a good job of engaging the community. You've got a lot of events that he does and the city does and puts on every month and gets the community out, something to look forward to, some engagement from Ammon Days to the light parade to movies in the park. There's a lot of things to do in Ammon, and it helps create that family-friendly environment
Right.
where you can engage with one another, and those have been highly successful events.
And I believe when people go out and start rubbing shoulders with their neighbors, they become much more invested in the community. And then I think they're more likely, Brandon, to want to come up with a solution rather than just a complaint.
Yeah, I think as leaders make it very clear to an open door policy and open hours or whatever it is that you're going to be, but you know you're approachable, and our community know we're approachable, then I think people, they don't see you as just kind of a figurehead or something like that, but they'll truly come and visit with you, and just like you're the neighbor, right?
And that is what is so appealing, I believe, to a lot of people that come from bigger cities to visit, and they rediscover just that magic of what neighborhoods were intended to be.
I agree.
Well, I want to focus for a moment. We talked a little bit as we were having lunch about the fact that there's a lot of pressure on our young people, and as we look at the trends across the country, there are stories frequently about impulsive violence, kids just not being able to control their emotions, lashing out. And you have to wonder if all the pressure of social media and all of that is driving some of that. What do you believe we can do here? We don't have the same problems as a big city, but we are not immune. We have issues. We remember what happened at Rigby High School, a 16-year-old girl getting attacked by another girl, and sadly, people were more interested in filming that with their cell phones than trying to engage or get help. What do you think we can do to maybe offer some assistance to our kids to help them combat all the noise that's coming at them 24/7?
Oh, That's a good question. You're talking about our kids or kids in the schools? I mean, with
I
my
think,
kids,
I
right?
think, right. I think when I say our kids, like kids in our community, kids in our schools, those right here, because we can have a direct effect in our homes. That's where our circle of influence obviously is strongest. But what can we do maybe to be influential in getting a handle on some of that?
Yeah, I think that's a tough question. I mean, when you look at some of the struggles that youth are having, my wife, she's an elementary school teacher at Woodland Hills. She sees some of those things on a daily basis, comes home, tells me about it, and I'm like, man, that's a difficult situation. And I don't think there is any one correct answer that fits all. But as an elected official, what I plan on doing, and working with Dr. Westenhume with, is I plan on at least going into each elementary school at least once a month and just doing a reading program. And right after that, just have lunch with some of the kids in the lunchroom, just to see them, say hi. Fun to be in Ammon. And then another thing I've talked to our staff about is we'd like to pick and kind of rotate between Thunder Ridge High School and Hillcrest High School and make that kind of city hall for a day, and where we'd actually take some of our staff and we'll do some work and set up some booths in those schools and try and engage with the students there and say, hey, this is what we do at Public Works, this is what we do in information technology, this is how I mean, what kind are some of your interests that we could probably recruit you to come work with us at the City of Ammon. And then later that evening have our city council meeting at the high school. So there's some ideas that we're kind of kicking around on how to engage our public education system and things that we can do that way. And just let the kids there know that we love them, we appreciate them, they're a member of our community, and we see that they can do great things, and we want to encourage their education. Another thing that I do is I work at over there for Bonneville County. I'm in the courthouse quite a bit, and you see some of these troubled teens going in and out, and I just feel bad. I'm like, man, there's got to be something else we can do to be a positive influence in their life. And so we want to keep looking for that, but those are probably some steps that we're going to take at the City of Ammon.
Some really great ideas that will go a long way, I believe, in engaging the youth.
A couple things we've done, and we have a mayor youth advisory board that's the council. They come in and they meet once a month. We try to take their information, what their leadership that they have. Our youth are great. We have some really great youth. I mean, there's lots struggling, but there's a lot of great youth out there and have a lot of great ideas. We have a city councilman that's a teacher right now, that he requires his students, and I think everybody does, because our city council meetings are halfway full of high school students, every one of them, taking notes and doing things for a grade. And that's getting them involved back to the community, getting them seeing what we're doing, but also helping them to understand they're part of this community. It's not just adults, and it's everybody. It's adults, youth, that we need to do. And so we need to involve them more to get their ideas. I know my wife's a junior high principal, and there's a lot of struggles out there, but these kids need to feel like adults will love them, that we care for them, even if they're not our kids. I mean, we got to reach out to them. There's a lot of great youth out there. We got to be able to talk to them and let them know that we care for them also. There's a future for them, and they need to feel that.
I love the idea of high school students coming to those city council meetings. They're going to walk away with something, and it's getting them engaged. You're right. You know, kids right now have a lot of adult-sized problems on their shoulders. Once upon a time, we were able to go home from school, and we were a little isolated from what happened. But with social media, these kids don't really get a break. If they're getting bullied a little bit at school, that can continue. The bullies can continue that after hours. So anything we can do to maybe empower them could be a game changer.
I went to a forum, I believe you were there as well, Jolyn, here, I don't know, a month and a half ago, that was titled More Social, Less Media.
Yes.
And Dr. Matt Larson was the keynote speaker, and there was a panelist of youth panelists and other leaders throughout the community that all spoke, and the messages that were conveyed that night, I wish that was something that should be recorded and just put on repeat, right? Those messages need to continue to be reinforced. I think it's so critical. I'm lucky to be the high school girls soccer coach for Idle Falls High School, and been involved with youth sports for years and years and years. And I find, and the studies will show, that kids who are involved and engaged in either sports or music or some sort of interest that takes them, again, kind of outside of that social media world, and allows them really just to focus in and be engaged and part of a team and something like that, is extremely healthy for mental health. And so I think the more that we as community leaders can support and promote opportunities for youth to be involved in something. I come from youth sports, and that's something that I will continue to be passionate about. But helping youth identify what's something they can be passionate about and excited about, I feel like those things go a long way.
I think all of you have great ideas, and stealing some of the ones, like a reading program is one of those things. I still think it needs to come back to the school districts, and the community members need to understand that we're part of that too. We're not just the leaders of that. We want to be a part of it and do things like that. And I think more of these activities that we can do, whether it be in the high school, we have a mayor's youth council also that engages and does volunteer work and does other things inside of our community. I think those are a big part of what needs to continue to take place. But we also need to start finding ways to help and support some of these parents. My wife is also a teacher. It's kind of funny that we all we're surrounded by educators. It's kind of, whether it's coach or whether it's at home, and she stopped telling me some of the things that she engages with. She's in the junior high level and or middle school level, and because it's so hard to hear and deal with. But when you hear some of the stories that she has to tell about some of these kids, some of them have never left their community, never gone on a trip, never done anything. And then you've got the dichotomy of those that are in their same classrooms that for Thanksgiving they were going to the Bahamas. That already creates a little bit of a division between that. There's got to be a way for us to bring these kids together and to help them have more communication, right? If they were talking and they were still friends, whether your friend went to the Bahamas and they're still your friend when they come back, those kind of things I think are gone. Social media has taken that away from all of the youth. We just don't have that anymore. The days are long gone that, hey, we're going on a family vacation, we're gonna be gone for a week. And now they go on family vacation every month, and mom and dad are mad at the school district because their kid wasn't in school for half the trimester or whatever it might be. So it's one of these things, I think, as we work closely with the school districts, whether it be Dr. Wilson Hume or ours with the former Doug McLaren and others inside of our school districts, and I know that the districts are struggling. They're trying to deal with this growth, and they don't have a lot of mechanisms either. So when they say, hey, we need some more money to provide an education, and the world blows up at them, and we've tried to pass a bond 3 times, and it's hard. But I think we need to help educate our kids and get them to be engaged with one another, and say, hey, it's hard to go to school when there's too many kids in my class, right? That maybe they can't say that, they don't know how to articulate that, but we need to be able to help our school boards and our school leaders feel like they can come to us and we can help them move on. That was one of the things that happened last time I was on the council, and I'm going to continue it this time, is that we're going to school board meetings and we're going to be a part of it and anxiously engaged. Hey guys, did you know we have so many connections being hooked up in the next 90 days? Hey, did you know that we have a subdivision that's popping up? It's going to be only about 8 houses for right now, but you're going to have another 15 by the time halfway through the school year. Are you prepared for that? Are we collaborating with them to bring that together so that they also aren't getting hit blindsided by the growth and by having to deal with it, and then trying to find educators? A lot of people aren't wanting that profession anymore.
Well, and I think you've done a good job of really pointing out that educators have a lot on their shoulders now.
Yes,
With social media, I love, Leif, that you brought up comparison. And that's what a lot of young people are dealing with. And perhaps helping them to feel empowered. And as you talked about, Brandon, nothing quite like sports or extracurriculars to give kids a sense of purpose and direction and to really strengthen the self-esteem. Because think about it, even for adults, social media can be a little hard on people's self-esteem sometimes because we look at something and we automatically assume that it is exactly as it appears, when oftentimes it's choreographed and there's something different going on behind the camera. So I think it's really catching kids doing good. It kind of goes back to what you were saying, Brandon, about the mindset. And I think that I've seen some evidence that our schools are changing the direction a little bit in terms of let's focus on your strengths rather than let's point out all the weaknesses or all the reasons why you're having a difficult time learning. Let's capitalize on those strengths. And really, I think that could go a long way because social media is such, I don't believe we can legislate our way out of it, but hopefully through the kinds of things that you're all talking about, maybe we can give kids the opportunity to experience the peace that comes with not being tied to a device 24/7.
And it's also reaching out to them and going out. I mean, we're leaders of a community. We're there, but it's also getting involved with them. I mean, when they do our schools, there's project leadership, project citizenship, and they're trying to find problems in the community to solve as youth. Don't just sit back and go there to their school and be there on their committee, be there to help them give solutions. Go to the sports, go to the things. They're looking up at you as a leader. Be there on their grounds too. Be out there in the community with them on all that stuff. I know we're busy, but take a time to go to a game or take time to go to the musical, take time to, and then go up and talk to them, not just go. Go up and say, good job, you done great today. I'm kind of forced there because my wife's assistant principal, and so she has to work all these extra things. So to see her, to be around her, I'm there. So in order to do that, then I'm going up to the kids, hey, you've done a great job up there on the stage. You've done, this type of thing. Good job in that game you did. And to me, it just builds them. You can see them kind of just grow by doing that.
I love that you brought that up because one of the things that I talk about a lot is if you think about back in the day when we were growing up, we were encouraged to find a real role model, somebody that was doing something we wanted to do. And now if you ask a lot of young people who their role models are, they're going to point to YouTubers and influencers and their peers, and that's all fine and well. But you can't expect to learn a lot from somebody who hasn't been around the block of life more than you have. And so I believe you're onto something in encouraging people to find those role models and putting yourself out there so they know they can look to you. You have all had incredible ideas and we're almost out of time, but I want to go ahead and just give you a chance to just leave a quick 20-second, 30-second final thought with us. Let's start right here.
Oh, well, first off, thanks for letting us stop by. This has been great. It's amazing how fast time flies.
It does, right?
And such great conversation, great ideas here. And I'm looking forward to working with all of you and your counterparts and your staff and permanently borrowing some of your ideas. And it's going to be fun. We're excited to get started at the City of Ammon. We've got some great plans, some great ideas that we're going to be rolling forward and look forward to working.
All right. Well, thank you so much for being here.
Yes, thanks, Jolyn, for inviting us all and having us here and being able to do this collaboration to learn a little bit from each other and then to hopefully move it forward. And I'm excited for working with these guys too, especially where it's been a big turnover in our cities. And it's going to be great to see all the new faces and see what we can do in this near future with all of these things we've been talking about.
Thank you again for letting us come down here. Like I say, it's been great. I loved being able to try to communicate back to the citizens and the ideas that was thrown out here back and forth. I'm sitting there, I was reaching back trying to get my notes, my notebook, so I could write some more notes and take notes and be able to go back and say, hey, let's look at this. Let's try to implement some of this stuff. It's always good to sit down with other leaders and other people to try to communicate and try to come up with solutions. I think it's very easy to complain and get on that bandwagon and complain, but it's so much better if we come up with ideas and solutions and come up to be a helper, not just a complainer.
So true. Thank you. And Brandon.
I'd say in closing, my encouragement, I guess, would be to anyone who's listening that if you want to feel good about your community and get engaged, find a way to serve. I think back to my soccer season again, we had an opportunity where I took my girls and we skipped a training practice and we went out to our soccer club, IFFC. They have a program called Top Soccer. And it's soccer for kids with disabilities. And they pair all my players up with one of these young athletes with a disability, and they let them play soccer with them for, an hour, hour and a half at tops. And they all would tell me that was the best practice, quote unquote practice, that we had all season because of their opportunity that they had to